It is our latest draft, $1,000. Mr. Chris Meaney from FTNFantasy.com. We are very happy joining us. He is going to be taking part in this draft as well. Chris has got the as we all are competing for $100,000. I shouldn't say all are. Darik and I are not. Chris is. He's people competing for $100,000 to Cutline. Thank you for joining us. Are you ready to go? Are you sweating and nervous? You ready up? You got your pick ready? Do you know who you're going to be drafting? First of all, to the live. Thank you for doing tonight.
I appreciate it, Tom and Darik. Thank you guys for having me, and Greg as well. I am all of the above, everything that you mentioned. I am excited. I am fired up. I am ready to go. I am a little nervous, but all's good. I've been doing a bunch of best ball drafts. This will be my first NFFC Cutline Championship draft here, so I'm really looking forward to getting things underway here. And you're right, I got the third pick. I think I know what I'm doing. But I'm not going to lie. I was all day kind of back and forth whether I was going to go CMC, Cup, Jefferson. We'll see what happens when the time does come. I'm about a couple minutes away here.
Yeah, we'll start this thing up in about the number one pick is pretty much set in stone. It's usually John Taylor, about 95 to 98%. Every once in a while, there's a little in the system here, a little glitch in the matrix. So if that changes, so then it kind of changes up about who can be the number two pick. So we'll see at pick start up. Darik, you got any thoughts as we get ready to start this one up tonight?
No, I mean, I think if anyone saw our last go on the cut line, a lot of it still sticks. Again, I'm usually making sure I get a running back in the first two rounds here. It's best ball for the first 10 regular season weeks. And then once, if you make the playoffs, you're setting your lineup at that point. So I'm just going to ask Chris, you said you prep doing best balls and stuff. Any specific kind of strategy you're coming in with? I mean, I know I'm kind of I watch enough of these that I like the rosters best when they kind of come out with, 3 QBs, 7 or 8 running backs, 9 or 10 receivers, 3 tight ends, possibly 4, and then, 2 defenses, and probably just to start with the kickers, you can add a kicker come week 2. So that's kind of the builds I think that work out best. But is there anything particular you planned on doing, or are you just going to see how the draft, what it brings you?
No, that's usually what I've been doing with some of my best ball drafts as well. I'd like to stack. It's not, I don't think it's everything, but certainly I wouldn't mind maybe getting a couple of stacks in there. I think rolling with maybe if I can get myself a top 5 quarterback, maybe 2 inside the top 12, 15, and then round it out with a third one later on with some upside. That's kind of the way I'm going to go. But I agree. I think, for the most part, I'd like to get 1 or 2 maybe backs my first 3 picks here. So I am on the clock, and it did go Taylor and Cup, which is which is interesting. I probably will roll with CMC here, back and forth, all day here between him and Justin Jefferson, but I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey. He has been a stud when he's on the field, right? From a fantasy point per game, nobody's really been better than him over the past couple of seasons. So I'm going to go with CMC. And then I just really feel like, Darik, there's a lot of value at the wide receiver position, maybe through rounds 4 to even 8 and 9. I feel like there's a lot of studs in around that range that could be game changers. That's kind of my thinking here as we get underway.
Yeah, for sure. We're saying that in all of our drafts, right? Yeah, rounds 4. Rounds 4.
Yeah, you can certainly build. No, you can certainly build on wide receivers later if you get that top running back early. There's so much wide receiver depth.
Yes, for sure. Like he said, rounds, I watch a lot of, as many 12 teamers as I do these 10 teamers, and, rounds, 3 through 9 there, I find fascinating wide receivers. So again, this 10 teams a little bit, if you cut a couple teams off the end in each round, and you're definitely going to see some value down there. So Chris, any thoughts on, are you a big early tight end guy, or do you just kind of let that play out as well, or do you have a specific strategy tonight?
Yeah, I'm not a big early tight end guy, but I think, this is a little bit different. With the best ball, I wouldn't mind getting an elite tight end. I don't know if I will pull the trigger on Kelsey if he's there, when it comes back to me, but I wouldn't mind a Pitts or an Andrews. A Dalton Schultz, I certainly do like, with Amari Cooper gone from the squad, maybe potentially Michael Gallup starting on the pup list. He was the top 3 tight end last year, and his teammate just went off the board there. Lamb, interesting. Lamb Diggs there for team 10, double tap on the wide receiver. Yesterday I did a tight end premium draft over at SiriusXM where you rolled out 2 tight ends, and that was just a little odd for me. It was a little weird to see 3 tight ends go in the first round, 6 or 7 go in the first couple. So there's Kelsey early off the board. I will try to get what I think is maybe a top 5, top 7 tight end, and maybe get 2 within the top 12 to 15. I don't know if I want to leave with 4. That would probably mean I'd have to get 1 elite guy if I don't have 4.
Yeah, for sure. I think I see plenty of teams getting out of here with 3 tight ends and plenty good. You get one of the top 6 or 7 guys, and then maybe a mid guy, and then a guy steal a guy like you like late, and I think that works out just fine. And again, you do have Fab come week 2, so really realistically, coming out of this draft, if with 3 tight ends, if you don't necessarily like it, there's a chance to add really early in the season.
Have you guys seen that yet? How much Derrick Henry in the second round? I know this is a 10-teamer, but I think that's kind of interesting.
He's trending that way in all of our drafts. Watching OC last night, I went 13th on the turn, so I don't know if a guy took him 12th or 13th, but we're starting to see that people are just a little bit, a lot of wear and tear. Yes, he's kind of a freak, so maybe some of the same rules don't apply to him, but the lack of, not catching as many balls as a lot of other backs, and then the what's going to happen with AJ Brown gone and stuff like that. So I think people are starting to shy away, and I think, as much as we see Barkley moving up, we see Henry moving down at this point.
All right, so I am up here. I'm kind of Debo's there. It's interesting. I'm not totally into Darik. I do like Evans, AJ Brown. Maybe I can get those guys a little bit later. There's 2 running backs here that I really like in this range. It's Leonard Fournette and Aaron Jones. I'm going to roll with Leonard Fournette. So I'm going to go RB here to start, which is something I didn't think that I would do, but we're going to roll with it. Fournette and Aaron Jones. I don't know how you feel about those guys, but, I just think both of them are in line for a lot of volume and a lot of catches out of the back.
So why Fournette over Jones?
Well, I believe it's his backfield. Yeah, it's really close for me. I have both of these guys as RB1s. I got Fournette slightly ahead of him just because I feel like it's his backfield, right? I know the Packers are going to run the rock, but they're going to run the rock with both of those guys. And A.J. Dillon, slightly more red zone rushing attempts last year than Aaron Jones. Jones can set records for himself and catch a lot of balls, but Fournette from a per game standpoint, Leonard Fournette rather. I'm just on the clock here. Maybe I'll take care of this. Catches and targets per game. He was right there up at the top. CMC had more, but he only played 7 games. And I think I'm going to go with AJ Brown here. You know what? Let's take care of the tight end position. Let's do it. Let's take care of the tight end position. We'll go here with Kyle Pitts, and then I don't have to think about it for a little bit. I don't know how you guys feel about that one. There's always one pick, Darik. I always have at least 1 or 2 where it's like off the board. And it's like, maybe that's where I made the mistake. But, to answer your original question, Tom, I just feel like it's his backfield. From a target per game standpoint, a catch per game standpoint, he was number 1. I know he's tied with Swift in terms of targets and catches. CMC slightly ahead, but only played the 7 games. Just his backfield. And the Bucs, the same thing can apply, I suppose, in the NFC. It's very weak. Green Bay's up at the top. Tampa Bay's up at the top. Just pedal to the metal with the Bucs. From a pass standpoint, Tom Brady number 1 in passing attempts, passing yards, red zone option, maybe more red zone targets without Gronk there. Maybe he comes back. I don't know. But that's kind of how I view it. I feel like maybe slightly I'm looking at a touches per game standpoint. I think he'll probably get a couple more than Aaron Jones, but we're splitting hairs. I think they're both good.
Yep, and I'm on board with your Pitts pick.
Pick.
Okay, nice.
I'm actually moving him closer to Andrews.
I like the pick, Chris. But any thought to?
I think Tom's having Tom's having some technical
Yeah,
here, so.
I think there may be a little bit of a delay there between us, Tom. I'm not sure what if you want to repeat that question.
Yes, Chris. Let me say. I was just saying. Yeah, I'm pushing Pitts towards the Kelsey Andrews.
Yeah, I think obviously, I don't think he scored a touchdown in North America last year. I do believe his one game in London. The quarterback play is certainly not ideal. Obviously, Marcus Mariota back there with his old buddy Arthur Smith. We're going to see some Ritter, of course, but he lined him up all over the field. He's a mismatch. The yards were still there. The targets were still there. Drake London is obviously now on the squad as the number one wide receiver, but he's a rookie learning the playbook. So let's be honest, quarterback play wasn't great last year either with Matt Ryan. There's a lot of holes on this Falcons squad. They're going to be passing a lot, playing from behind, and I'm sure they have a solid RB that they can just hand the ball off to 20 times in that backfield. So I think Pitts, even overall without those touchdowns, he still finishes a top tight end. And I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think any of us here on this show or people watching would be shocked if he finishes the number one tight end overall.
No, not at all. It wouldn't surprise me. Again, like I said, I'm moving him towards Andrews and Kelsey, not the other way. And again, I don't think we've seen an athlete like him at the quote unquote tight end position. I mean, to me, he's a wide receiver, but I honestly, we list him as tight end, but he's a glorified wide receiver. I think you're right. I don't know if Mariota and or Desmond Ritter maybe hold him back this year. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but I'm excited, and I'm going to have Pitts on a bunch of teams as well.
So we will be thinking about a wideout or two coming up.
Yeah, well, like you said at the top of the show, right? Rounds 4 through 9. You think there's going to be some values, and there is. There's definitely some guys I like a whole bunch left. So again, you get enough of them, and you let the first 10 weeks, you get the optimal scoring, let the computer do the work for you, and hopefully come week 11, you're in the playoffs, and you have the 3 or 4 go-to guys at that point.
Yeah, there are a lot here that I do like. Just kind of roll through. I mean, the Broncos boys, a little bit early for that. I do like Marcus Brown. Terry McLaurin is there. Carson Wentz. Jalen Waddle, I think probably a little bit of maybe a step back. I do like Mike Williams as well. I'll roll here with Terry McLaurin, I suppose. That's what my rankings do say. Terry McLaurin. Carson Wentz, right? Carson Wentz. Not the most accurate quarterback. Not a lot of other pieces there, though, right? They draft Dotson, and I think Logan Thomas will be an option for Carson Wentz there too. But Terry McLaurin is my one. I don't hate it. I'll be honest, I was kind of back and forth here between Mike Williams, but maybe I could get Mike Williams, on the other side here.
Yeah, I think Tom's having some difficulties. It might be just me and you for a while here. It seems like he's got a delay problem. I don't know if his weather's kicking in or not. Thoughts on your quarterbacks in your best balls here? I know you said you like you said you had prepped a ton. What do you do? What do you traditionally do in a field like this?
In a field like this, I mean, I don't love. I probably honestly won't have too many shares in best ball of Allen and Herbert or Mahomes. I kind of look at maybe the next tier, but I do think it's important to, grab a stud. I'm just kind of walking through this here right now. Mike Williams, Herbert's off the board. Like that's a stack maybe that I would like. Maybe I can get Kyler a little bit later on. It's not the end of the world if I don't. I'm going to go with Marquise Brown here.
I like that pick.
Yeah. You know what? I'm a big fan of Hollywood Brown. I know that he had some drops last year. I think he had 6. He's inside the top 5 or so in drops, but he's coming off a career year. We know that DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Williams went right after. It was tough between both of those guys. We could buy into the narrative all we want. I'm not gonna lie, Darik, I'm kind of buying into it, drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit from their years together in Oklahoma. But DeAndre Hopkins is going to be sidelined here for the first 6 weeks of the season. He's also coming off a significant injury. Maybe there's a setback there. He had a pretty good season from a touchdown standpoint. I think that he may have been a little bit more touchdown dependent than I like. Perhaps not as much separation as I've seen before in the past. I still think he's a really good wide receiver and his hands are elite. But Marquise Brown, I mean, he's got a big A dot. Stretch the field. Kyler, just looking at some of our tools over at FTNFantasy.com, FTNDaily.com, in terms of just completion percentage of deep passes, passing attempts of at least 20 yards, Kyler's number 2 in football. So, he's been an accurate quarterback. I know he went downhill a little bit towards the end of the season. Maybe that was on Hopkins, but I think Brown's going to give them a little bit more than Christian Kirk gave them. So I am in on Marquise Brown. I think he has, I don't know, maybe I'm jerking it too much, Darik. I'd like to get your thoughts. I think he does have upside to be a wide receiver 1. I'd like him to be my 3rd wideout. But of course, when you start RB tight end, that's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Pitts as a wide receiver, so technically, I can kind of see how he kind of fits as your wide receiver 3 already, right? But I love Marquise Brown this year. I'm excited to see him work with Kyler. Again, Hopkins is a guy who was kind of trending in the wrong way for me anyways, and wasn't going to be on a lot of my teams this year. Now he still might, because if I get enough of a discount, knowing exactly that he's only going to miss those 6 games to start with, he'll probably end up on a team or two of mine. But I love what Marquise Brown could do there, so I'm excited to watch that, definitely. Team 5 now has back-to-back QBs. I mean, he's got 2 of my top 3. So what are your thoughts there? I mean, I get what he's doing. I would not do that in this format. I just think the opportunity cost is just too big at this point, this early. Maybe a couple rounds from now, I would think about doing that. Of course, you're probably not going to get a Herbert Mahomes back-to-back stack there. But what are your thoughts there on that?
Is he bullying us? I don't know. Herbert Mahomes, I mean, he's got 2 studs. It's not for me. It's not. I don't love the strategy, but he's probably going to have the best quarterback here. Her probably going to have the best quarterback week in and week out, right? One of the 2 are going to go off. You're not going to get too many dead games from either of those guys. I do have Herbert ranked ahead of Mahomes, but I'm with you. I mean, those are 2 of the top 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, it's honestly, it's not a play for me, but I think sometimes you got to be a little unique with some of your rosters. If he's got a Herbert Allen stack there. Now he just got Juju and Mahomes, so he's got a KC Charger stack. It's going to be a high-powered NFC or AFC West. There's going to be a lot of scoring, a lot of shootouts between those 2 teams. So it's interesting. I wonder if he'd like it as much if he didn't have those wide receivers to pair it up with.
Agreed. I agree. I think I agree that he's going about it the right way now that he has those 2, right? Like he's doing the right thing there. The only problem for me is that we all feel we're pretty darn good drafters. We all feel like we're going to make the playoffs, right? 5 of the 10 teams here make the actual playoffs. Come week 11, that's a tough decision, man. And then week 12, week 13, if you're still going. To me, I prefer to have my guy, one of those guys, and then I would go down a few rounds and grab my 2nd or even 3rd tier, and then grab a guy like at the end. That way, I still feel like I got my bases covered, especially with 3 quarterbacks, one uber stud, like I like to think of. And then come the playoffs, I got a guy I can roll with. I tell Tom all the time, I don't want to have to be making that quarterback decision. You can look at all the metrics and all who's supposed to score better this week, and I get it. There's people that are good at doing that. I am not one of them. So again, to me, that's a tough strategy for me to swallow. But again, at least he's going about it the right way in my mind.
Yeah, I think so too. It is a really tough strategy. I do not like that decision either, even if some people are watching here that are not huge high stakes. That's not me on the clock. I just saw the numbers click in red. It's like, oh no. Yeah, it really does. It really does depend on kind of like, yeah, your overall thinking with your strategy there. But if people that are watching here the show and they're in single quarterback leagues and they roll with 2, I mean, they could probably relate to what you said. I get in those situations all the time. It's like, I don't want to be stuck. Like last year, there were times where I had Joe Burrow and I think maybe a Kyler, and Kyler was kind of cooling off and Burrow's, heating up towards the end of the season. It's like, which guy do I roll with here? And then I'm not going to lie, I seem to always make the wrong call, but I did go with Kyler. I feel like maybe it could have been a slight reach, but I don't want to risk, guys, the chance of him not being there, if team 2 and team 1, got Kyler. So, I didn't really love the way that he finished last year, but like we already talked about, Marquise Brown there, guys familiar with. So hopefully that 1-2 stack works out. Maybe I'll consider Rondell a little bit later on, or maybe get involved with Zach Ertz. We'll see.
Yep, for sure. That's a fine spot for Murray in the cut line. Don't worry about it. I mean, again, it's nice. You have Brown. You got to take him there. Just so you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to lose him. Do you have to have him? No, you don't have to have him. But it's certainly as we just talked about, a nice little thing to have there. So yeah, that's you're on deck again here. So we'll let you think about it for a minute. There's a question, actually, not a comment. One of our guys, Henry Muto, who's in here a lot, saying both those quarterbacks on Team 5 have the same bye week, so he is going to have to at least have another
Oh,
quarterback that he can roll with at some point there. So.
Yeah, that's rough. Man, Amari Cooper, right? Amari Cooper sitting there, I think is pretty good value, but there's just so much uncertainty right now with that Cleveland organization. I think I got to pass on him. DeAndre Hopkins is sitting there too. I'm gonna roll with Jerry Jeudy. Interesting. You know, I've had conversations back and forth. Love to get your thoughts too, Darik, on Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. I think Sutton probably has the higher ceiling, just because of, you know, the way he's using that offense. You know, a bit of a deeper target. We know Russell Wilson's very, very accurate quarterback, one of the deep balls in all football. You know, Schultz in the 7th round, I do like too, kind of in this format, just went after me. Already pitched there, but who do you have a preference between Jeudy or Sutton? One of the two.
You know, Sutton's going about a round earlier in our most of our drafts. I don't know if I'm not seeming to get a lot of either one of them at this point. Maybe it's just guys I like around. The guy I like most on Denver right now is Albert O, just where you can get him. I just don't know which guy. I mean, Russell can probably support 2 wide receivers, but I also like KJ Hamler and Tim Patrick enough to add member rosters at that point. So honestly, I don't know who the guys are going to be. I guess gun to my head, I'm going to take Sutton. I think he has the best upside, and from what we've heard, I don't know how true these reports are, but he was kind of Russ's guy in the early stuff. So gun to the head, I'm taking Sutton, but honestly, I don't know. I like Russell a lot because I love all the weapons around him. Love Albert O. I'll take shots on both those backs, hoping I have the one that doesn't go down, right? I don't know how that situation plays out if they're both healthy all year. Could be kind of frustrating. But I like Denver again. And you mentioned it, the AFC West. Holy cow, are we gonna have some shootouts? Those are gonna be fun. Sunday late afternoon games when we get those.
Yeah, are they ever? Yeah, that backfield in Denver may just play out the exact same it played out last year, where they both had very, very similar numbers in terms of touches and snaps and targets and carries, and we'll see. I definitely think Javonte's got a high ceiling, ready to go here before Fournette and Jones. So I kind of disagree with that, but I guess you're shooting for upside. You know, he is a really good running back, but I think they brought back Melvin Gordon for a reason. He's a good running back in his zone as well. He's a guy that can protect the quarterback, and you know he's a reliable back as a nose for the end zone. It's just a good situation, right? Maybe the play is just to have Russell Wilson, like you said, and not all these other different weapons where, you know, they're going to score some points, and there's just like a lot of mouths to feed there.
Looks like we're having some technical. Oh, okay, there we go. I was just saying we're having some technical difficulties on the draft board, and it just updated, so I don't know if it got stuck there for a minute. Now we're back. We're into round 8. Still a lot of quarterbacks out there. Still tons of value at wide receiver. Still some good backs. A lot of good tight ends. Still. Now you're getting down to the point where it's kind of more personal preference. I don't think you can screw up too bad down here unless you're taking kickers already or something like that. I mean, this is a very unique format, and I think people pretty much get the idea that it's best ball for 10 weeks, and then half the league, 5 people make the playoffs, a couple in the championship round, 3 in the wild card round, and then you got to survive. You got to keep scoring points, and missing or making the cut line is why it's actually called the cut line. You got to make a certain be in the top certain at each cut. So definitely an interesting. And again, starting week 11, you need to now starting your rosters. It's no more optical scoring once the playoffs start. So I like, I don't have a problem with guys doing anything right now, to be honest with you. You got 6 or 7 core guys. You got to pepper in, you got to make sure you get, a certain amount of guys. But again, I think anything works at this point, as long as you're not, like I said, you're not taking kickers and crap yet, or defenses, but we'll see.
Gonna really probably tick off team 2 here, with a little Rashad Bateman. But what can you do? Bateman and Gage kind of still just staring at me. I was kind of hoping that Dylan would fall there. I'm gonna go with Bateman here. Not a lot going on there in Baltimore, that's for sure. I think the wide receiver room may have a career 150 some odd catches combined. What does Duvernay lead the way with like 50 or 60? So team 2 probably cursing me right now. My apologies. It does suck to get sniped like that, but I got to go with the wide receiver. And I mean, I do like Russell Gage.
Yeah, I do too.
But there's just a lot of pieces going on there, I think.
Yep, and this is, I mean, we're seeing Russell Gage and Rashad Bateman now into Bateman in the 5th round in most of our RotoWire Online Championship 12-team drafts each night, and we're seeing Gage in the 6th, and I honestly think I saw Gage go in the 5th the other night. So those two guys are just screaming up the charts. And again, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties on the draft board here. It's frozen. I don't know if the feed's going through Tom's side, and I can't tell if he's frozen or what. It doesn't look like he's moving on the screen very much. So hopefully we can get that to update. I can't, unfortunately, get it to update.
I could read off some picks here for you guys.
Yeah, and it just went. Okay. So there we go. We're through your Bateman pick.
Yeah. Okay. So I went Thomas, Bateman, Goddard, Gage, and Brady. So team 1. I mean, I do really like that. I was kind of considering that myself with Gage, and then maybe Brady would come back. So team 1 went Gage and Brady, got the stack there, and then Lockett just before me right there. So, Drake London, Brendan Ayuk, Burks, Traylon Burks kind of falling down draft boards, I guess. Christian Kirk, I do like Alan Lazard. It's probably slightly early to get another running back. Can I get Pollard or Miles Sanders on the way back, or maybe Ramondre Stevenson? Go to another tight end here, just to kind of get involved with the Arizona stack. Maybe the Kyler, Marquise, and Zach Ertz. See, this is the stuff where it's a little strange, right? If you're not doing best ball, like it's something that I would never think of, right? 2 tight ends in there and getting another guy. But I feel like times are changing just a little bit. We're trying to shoot for some upside here. Maybe those first 6 weeks of the season without Hopkins, maybe we can get some Kyler or Marquise and Kyler or Ertz. So I guess I'm all in on Arizona here.
Yeah, there you go. Nothing wrong with that in this format. Like I said, you get through, you got to survive, and then week 11, hopefully, I don't want to say hopefully injuries, but I know the case is injuries, attrition, guys winning battles, right? That's all gonna happen by then. So you're gonna have you're gonna see that stuff later. I do like the Zach Ertz pick. I like, and now I feel like now between Pitts and Ertz, you're going to be able to get out of here with 3 tight ends quite easily. You'd be able to grab a guy you like later, but at this point, I don't think you need to go 4 tight ends. So you're going to get to use that bullet, on another back or whatever you want to use it on. But I definitely think I would with a Pitts Ertz, start on tight end. I would go 1 more, and that would be my limit coming out of the draft.
I think that's kind of what I wanted to do anyways. Like I like a Cole Kmet, but I won't bother. I'll probably like a Brevin Jordan maybe a little bit later on, or a Hooper potentially or something like that. But yeah, I think I should be fine with those 2. And just kind of looking at the draft board, we're starting to see some teams. Actually, still only 1 team with 2 quarterbacks. You guys caught up there? No. So after Lockett went Ertz for me. And then we had team 4 go Dak. My queue is starting to lose some guys in my queue here. Dak, Singletary, Brendan Ayuk, Derek Carr, Christian Kirk, Drake London. Team 10 goes Damian Harris and Kadarius Toney. So then we're coming back here the other way in round 10. So I did have Kadarius Toney. Next, I had the little star there. I would be thrilled if I can get an Allen Robinson or a Robert Woods here on the way back. I'd be pretty happy with that. I'm pretty sure I'm out on Arizona, more Arizona. I don't think I'm going to do any Rondell Moore. I think I'm good there. Other quarterbacks here off the board. I mean, Russell Wilson is still there. I mean, that'd be all right. Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy. Maybe I can get a Hamler or Tim Patrick. I don't know where Albert. I feel like he's like, where have you seen him go in these formats? Is he kind of all over the place?
Yeah,
from
maybe he
12
still
to
is.
20?
I mean, in our I watch more 12-teamers because we've just had more 12-teamers so far than we've had these 10-teamers. So I think I've seen him go late 10th round and still sometimes fall to the 14th or there or so. So in this one, you can, by the time you get down there, you're adding a round or 2 to that. So, round 11 to maybe 16, somewhere going there. We got a board update so we can see that. There is a quick question from the Daily Handle here. Kind of, and maybe it's kind of a generic question, might be hard to answer in terms of the Cutline specifically, but it says, Means, what round do you take a sleeper usually? And again, be as vague or, direct as you want, I guess, to answer that one.
Yeah. Yeah, Daily Handle. It's a good question. I think you just have to what defines a sleeper for you. For me, a sleeper is somebody that I think is kind of undervalued a little bit. I mean, maybe even Allen Robinson could be viewed as a sleeper, or an Adam Thielen, or one of those guys that are going a little bit late. But if you're thinking like a late sleeper, I don't know how late you're thinking. I like Byron Pringle this year. That's maybe a sleeper. I don't think we need to reach on him. I think maybe I don't know. I think you need to kind of I think you would need to take ADP into hand, just to kind of see where these guys are roughly going, and if you really feel strong about them, maybe it's a round or two early. I don't think you really need to reach or pick a trendy sleeper, which a lot of people like. That would kind of cross out sleeper. You're just trying to find some value, I think, there. So I think daily handle, if you're looking for somebody that typically goes in the late couple rounds, I think it's okay to. If you really like somebody, it's okay, I think, to reach a round or two early. Hopefully that answers your question. Like I do like Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler, like those guys I think would be considered sleepers. In this situation, I suppose if you had Russell Wilson, maybe you could reach a round or two early just to make sure you get that stack if that's something that you really feel pretty strong about. But I think you can wait it out as long as you can. Oh, I'm on the clock.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say you're on the clock. So Alan Lazard went after Dalvin Cook. If you can't see it,
yeah, that is like I deserve that one, right? I did it earlier with the Bateman. Russell Wilson by week 9, Kyler by week 13. Let's do it. Yeah, I thought maybe I'd do a little Trey Lance. Man, Derek Carr is really catching some steam. I do like Derek Carr from a fantasy standpoint. I just really see. I follow this. I always reference NFFC, ADP, Cutline, RotoWire, anything. I really reference them when I on my show Mean Streets, and I have really seen Derek Carr. Like earlier, it was like QB 15. I love it. Could be a top 10 quarterback. He's been a top 15 quarterback before. He's had MVP votes the year we had Crabtree and Cooper. And now you add in, I guess I understand it. You add in Adams, and then if Waller's healthy and Hunter Renfro's always open, I just thought that maybe he'd be a guy in this format that would go around quarterback 15. But heck, man, he went ahead of Russell Wilson. So okay.
So Derek Carr. So between Tom and I, Derek Carr is always like a running joke because I've never ever been a Derek Carr guy. Just and this is the year I'm finally warming up to him as a fantasy guy, and I actually have told Tom I probably will take some Derek Carr this year just based on all the, obviously the year Renfro had and how he's improved, and obviously Waller and the addition of Adams and adding Zamir White and everything. It's like, and not to mention the fact that they're in the AFC West and they're just going to have to score points. There's no way of getting around that. So I've always been a non-Derek Carr guy. I still don't think he's a great NFL quarterback, but for we're talking fantasy game here, and I think he's going to. I mean, he threw for 4,800 yards last year. Just the fact that he threw for 24 touchdowns that kept him from being an upper echelon guy. So again, I'm interested to see how Carr is going to do this year. It's probably going to slap me in the face when he has a huge year, and I'm going to have to eat crow for the last couple of years. But I'm all right with that.
And that's okay. Like I don't know if he's going to be a league winner, right? Right. I did get kind of burned there with Woods and Pollard. I wanted both of those guys. This is going to be one of those picks too, where you're like, Derek, this is where your draft went off the rails. Miles Sanders. Oh, boy.
It's amazing how far he is falling at this point. I mean, there's a guy. I mean, was it 2 years ago that we were drafting him in the first round around 7th or 8th ADP? Maybe it was 3 years ago.
Oh, man.
But I mean, it's crazy. And again, this is a perfect format for him. You never have to choose when to start him. So when he breaks that long 85-yard TD run, he's going to be in your lineup, and you're not going to have to worry about it.
This is really the only format that I like him. And I know this is a 10-team. In 12 teams, I've noticed him fall like to the 9th. And of course, he was on a podcast the other day, and he said, "Don't draft me in fantasy. Don't draft me in fantasy." And it kind of seemed like he was a little bummed the way that he's been used over the past couple of years. No touchdowns at all last year in the regular season. He did get one in the playoffs. The number 1 rushing team in football, but we know Jalen Hurts led the league in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. He's going to steal some touches. Kenneth Gainwell's going to get some touches inside the red zone too. I noticed that he was starting to get into a bit of a rhythm before he suffered that injury. It took Nick Sirianni a long time to kind of realize what the strengths were in Philadelphia, and that's their offensive line. Jalen Hurts was dropping back and chucking nonstop. This is the last year of his deal. I definitely don't think that he's in their plans for the future. So maybe they give him the rock a little bit more. Maybe he's running a little bit more. Maybe we could buy into that narrative too. He's a contract year. Maybe he's a little bit more motivated. There's all those things. But the fact that he went on that podcast and he said, "Don't draft me. It's kind of the way the offense is run, 3-4 fantasy points." He's going to continue to fall down draft
Right.
boards, and he's
Right.
going to become even more valuable in these formats. So yeah, I mean, I don't love it, but as my third RB, I think there's upside. You're talking about the year that he went pretty early, is because his rookie season. I remember this because I was diving into some of the statistics. I think he was one of 4 backs to have like 40 grabs, 400 receiving yards, 800 rushing yards, and 4.6 yards per carry. It was like him, CMC, Kamara, and Cook, like great company.
Right.
And then I think in year 2, it was him and Chubb and Henry only have. They were the only backs to have like 4 or 5 40-yard touchdowns. And we've seen that before from as well, like long sprints to kind of save your day. Ceiling's there, the upside's there. It's a little bit of health, and maybe the coaching staff give him the ball a couple more times.
And I think
it's a wild card pick.
It definitely is, but that Eagles offense should be just bringing in AJ Brown alone should mean the world to that offense. So I mean, this could be that could be the type of pick that's a home run. So it'll be interesting to see.
We'll see. You guys caught up on the board? Yeah, it looks like you guys are. So I mean, there's somebody with 3 quarterbacks: Hurts, Lance, and Cousins. Interesting.
And this is typically a drafter who drafts in our OCs and actually waits a long time on a redraft team to technically draft his QB. So that's a little bit of different strategies. Obviously, different type of contest, no question about it. But I am surprised to see him with 3 QBs already. So interesting. I like when guys change it up too. You can't be the same all the time, right? You got to diversify a little bit. So
I agree. How much are you like that? How much are you like that when you're drafting? You're like, I already have 7 shares of Hollywood Brown. Maybe I'll go another way.
I don't pay too much attention how much my diversification is. I mean, I actually do it more than in baseball than I do in football. I like to diversify a lot more in baseball. But football, if I have conviction on, say 4 or 5 guys every year that I just feel like I'm way higher on than everyone else seems to be, I always find a way to just load up on those. So one of my guys, it's been my guy every year, is Saquon Barkley. But I'm just to me, I'm just ready for. I mean, when I watch him, to me, he's a top 3 talented running back in the NFL. You can't. When I watch him, there's no one can tell me. There's no way you convince me that he isn't. So basically, to me, all is can he stay healthy? And now we've got that. Talk about a coaching upgrade. I don't think there's been a better coaching upgrade for an offense in football in a long time. Now, again, Daniel Jones quarterback. What does that mean? Can that be good? Can that be bad? With Dayball there, all those receivers, I just think they did some stuff with the line. I just think a healthy Saquon Barkley is going to flourish. So he's one of my guys. So I would take, if I get Barkley in the right spot, he will be on every single one of my teams. I don't care. I know it's a risk, but that's the way I play. How about you?
Yeah, no, well, high risk, high reward, right? Yeah, no, I agree with you on Saquon. I mean, we're speaking of high risk, high reward. I mean, MVS is I'm kind of looking at MVS here and thinking, is this a deep option? I mean, Rondale Moore, I don't want to go too much Arizona. Like, I feel like that would be too much. I don't know if that is the strategy. Tyler Boyd is sitting there, Christian Watson sitting there as well. Man, Boyd's just a really good wide receiver, right? But there's just a lot of going on there. I'm gonna roll with an upside play here in MVS. Man, it doesn't make me feel good, Darik. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, maybe get a piece of that Kansas City offense. He's going to have his moments for sure. We're talking best ball here, so maybe he could. And he does have those weeks where he could, maybe win me a week or two just alone on the ceiling there. Who knows? Maybe it works out a little bit with him. Yeah, we'll see. No, but Saquon, right? Yeah, I think you nailed it. We just had a little bit of taste of it last year in that game against the Saints. Catching balls out of the backfield. Sounds like Daboll wants to use him catching balls out of the backfield. The offensive line has improved. So there was a moment last year on their own 3rd and 8. Did they not run a quarterback sneak? You're not going to see crap like that from them this year.
No.
Daboll is just he's a creative mind. So yeah, it's probably one of the best acquisitions in the offseason as a head coach.
So the one thing I'm having trouble figuring out with the Giants is share as much as you want or as little as you want here, because there's still a lot of them kind of out there. But what are your thoughts on the Giants wide receiving core this year?
Yeah. I don't know.
I
mean, Galladay is sitting right there, 0 touchdowns, 37 yards per game. It can't be worse than that, can it?
No.
I would say no. Honestly, I think the only guy I really like is Kadarius Toney. I may take an upside back here, just a little backup running back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kind of looking at Spiller or Alexander Madison. It's just, you kind of really need something to happen with one of those guys. I'm gonna actually go off the board again here. I do another rookie. I'm gonna do Watson. So we'll see. My running backs could be pretty weak. I'll try to shoot for some upside after that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think about those wide receivers. I was talking with Jake Seeley today on his show. He's a Giants guy, and I had to kind of refresh his memory on the wide receivers that had touchdowns in that offense last year. John Ross and Dante Pettis. But I do like Kadarius Toney. I trust Dable and the coaching staff. So maybe Rondell Robinson, maybe, he's going to have a role. They'll find a way to use him. Maybe he's like a kind of Isaiah McKenzie / Cole Beasley kind of. It seemed weird because I just feel like they're both slot guys. So I just thought that was strange. I think Shepard and Slayer, I don't think they have too much to offer at this point. So I'm in on Kadarius. He was a target of mine. Where'd he go? In the 10th to start the 10th? I think it's a pretty strong pick.
Pick 91. So that's typically where we see him. That's a guy moving up for me now too. I was a little off of him at the beginning of the year. I thought he was getting drafted a little high in our 12 teamers, and I could see it. I mean, you saw the upside and how good he was last year when he was actually on the field. But definitely a guy I'm warming up to now. Just updating everyone, Tom is actually technically frozen, but cannot log out. Otherwise, Chris and I will be kicked out of the room here. So I'm going to stay with Chris about another 7-8 minutes, and then we'll let Chris go and finish up the draft and concentrate on drafting his gems and his couple defenses and kickers. And then Tom will probably finish up solo, just so that he can update the boards and get on here. But he can't do anything right now because if he reboots, we're going to lose this whole thing. So that's why you're not hearing Tom tonight.
Hang tight, Tom. Hang tight.
He's there. Trust me, he's still there. He's moving the board and stuff. So he'll get back on in a little bit here.
I saw the first defense go off the board in the 13th. Is that's normal to see the Bills?
Bills are always the first defense that go in all. I shouldn't say always, but let's say 99% of our drafts this year, and that might be a little early. Usually in the 12 teamers, they go around in round 13. So, you're adding 2 more picks per round. So, this might be a little early, but I mean, they're my favorite defense. I don't know. Do you care enough about defenses or?
Yeah, I think in this format, I think you should. I mean, there's 10 teams, so you can probably get 2 decent ones. Yeah, I'll be honest. I probably won't have too many shares of the Bills or the Bucks or the Rams, but I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I think if you like your build and you're happy. I mean, the team 6 here started, 3 running backs, Harris, Henry, Kamara, and then you got Zeke. Like, I mean, my goodness, like those are 4 could be really strong running backs here. There's some questions surrounding Kamara, getting some value there on Zeke. And the wide receivers are fine. He's going to sell 2 quarterbacks. So yeah, I mean, I totally understand. If you like your build to kind of roll with that, but I don't know if that's for me, but who knows? I like I said, I kind of go off the board with some of my picks. I'm like, I like the way I start, but then I'm in here with Sanders, then I went MBS and Watson, 2 guys that I don't have too many shares of, but I think in best ball formats for guys that could maybe fall into some deeper roles. I know we were talking about 3rd tight end. I mean, Albert O is sitting here.
It's getting to be that territory for sure if you like the guy, and with your Russell. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I think you're on the right. You're on the right mindset. I think you got a couple of picks coming here, so
we'll see. Man, how about this running back run? Ronald Jones, Michael Carter, Darrell Henderson, Rashad White, Isaiah Spiller, Alexander Madison, Tyler Algier. I actually don't mind. Maybe in this format as well. I didn't think that I liked him, at the draft, but it's all about opportunity and volume. He's a big body. He could be their goal line back there.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how any of us are be able to predict that Atlanta backfield at this point. So I think he's as good a shot as the other 2, and you're getting them cheap. Well, you're not getting them. Damian Wilson will go later, but he's a lot cheaper than Cordero Patterson at this point, and could easily be the lead rusher there. I mean, we don't know.
So at what point do you pull the trigger on Kenny Golladay, though? Like, honestly, my goodness.
In this format, at any time, I think you don't have to worry about starting the guy, right? If he
right.
You know, and if he's literally that bad, you can cut him in week 6 or you can cut him in week 10 when you have there's 3. For anyone that doesn't know, there are 3 fab periods in this cut line. It's basically in the middle of week 2. It's after the Thursday night game. It's on Friday night. So you actually do get to watch the Thursday night game in week 2, week 6, and week 10, and then make your cut. So there will be some guys that go off in those Thursday night games in those 3 weeks where people will jump on them because if they do end up making your lineup for that week, you do get to use them. So I just want to point that out for people if they have any questions on stuff like that. So I always like to just point out the little nuances in our contest because there are nuances in all of our contests at some point. So I just like to point that. And you did it. There, you did it. All right.
I did it, and I wonder if he probably would have been there for me if I really, really wanted Kenny Golladay. He went directly after me. He probably would have been there. I could have went Golladay maybe on the way back. It's not the end of. I don't think it would have been the end of the world if I had that stack or not. But now I got a Rust and Judy and Alberto, and then don't ask me to pronounce his last name. And then in there with Kyler and Ertz and Hollywood. So I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
I'm trying to look at all these teams real quickly, real briefly, and just seeing there's nothing. Again, it's one of these cut lines where I don't think.
And I can't get up.
That's a help call on my auction here.
Oh, you're up. You're on the.
Oh, I'm watching the auction, and there's a help call, so I just got to just see what the heck's going on. Why don't you tell people real quick, Chris, before I let you go, where they can. I know most of the people listening know exactly where to find you and whatnot, but for those that don't, tell them what you're up to and what you're doing.
Yeah, sure. Well, this was awesome. I mean, this is great. I was pacing all around today, seeing how this would go, and I'm pretty happy with it. Over at ftnfantasy.com, and we have our 3 websites. FTN Fantasy, FTN Bets, FTN Daily. I have a daily show Monday to Friday at noon Eastern. It airs on Game Plus Network at 2 Eastern and again at 5 Eastern. Just kind of, covering all the sports. NHL and NBA are in the quiet times now. It is draft season. It is football season. We're covering baseball all the time from a waiver wire redraft standpoint, from a betting angle. We are talking props and picks all the time on the show. It's we try to keep it loose, try to keep it fun. We're actually giving away some FTN fantasy packages over at ftnfantasy.com. Included in that package, Jeff Ratcliffe's game plan, over 300 player profiles. My rankings are on the site. His rankings are there. We have best ball content. Of course, those that are familiar with this, NFFC, familiar with Matty Wood and Vlad Sedler and Nelson Souza, guys that are contributing daily over at ftnfantasy.com. We're going to have an MLB betting show launching here next week as well. So just kind of covering lots of football. We're rolling through some team previews. We're in the middle of the NFC North. We did the Vikings today. We did the Packers on Thursday. Tomorrow we will hit up the Bears and we'll wrap up with the Lions. And then we will have one more division to wrap up in the NFC before we switch over to the AFC. But yeah, it's football season. So we're talking a lot about football, team previews, futures, and kind of getting into drafts, and always referencing you fine folks over at NFFC and really diving into the ADP because people are putting their hard-earned bucks on the line. So we get a real nice a look of where some of these players are going in drafts and where some of them are following. Oh man, like Tim Patrick, I thought I could get. It's the thing, right? This is it. Daily Handle, I don't know if you're hanging out, but I waited on Tim Patrick. I thought maybe I could get this guy. I went Gus Edwards instead in the 15th, and I missed out on a guy like Tim Patrick. So if you have a sleeper that you like, don't be afraid. Maybe you start thinking about him around earlier than what you do. Then he would go, I suppose.
Perfect. I love that advice. That's a good one to end on. I want to thank you, Chris, a bunch. Sorry that we got a little screwed up with the Tom thing, but thank you for giving us 45 minutes. Very gracious. Good luck the rest of the way out. Don't forget to grab a kicker. Otherwise, you end up with me, since I'm actually one of the kickers listed down there. I'm kicker number 33. In case somebody doesn't end up getting one, they end up getting me. And while I am deadly from inside 29 yards, I don't put up a whole lot of points during the actual NFL season. So.
Fantastic. I appreciate that reminder. I would love to have you on my squad, but I don't know how much you can help me there. But I do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Darik, and Tom as well. You can hear me. Appreciate you hanging on with us here. It's been a blast.
All right, you and I should log out. Just hit the leave button up there, and then Tom can take over and reboot and get it all set up for us. So thanks again, Chris. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
everybody. I think I'm back here, so I just want to thank Chris for joining us tonight. I apologize for my internet issues, but we'll be hopefully back on track for the remaining lives we're going to be doing going forward. So again, thanks to Chris for joining us tonight in the Cutline $1 grand prize in this great contest. Thanks to Chris for joining us this evening. Best of luck in this draft. Again, you check out all of our drafts at playnffc.com. Head on over there, sign up, have a great time. Thanks again to Chris for taking over for me tonight. No more tech issues. Playnffc.com. Head on over there, sign up, get into a great league, a live draft, live events, Las Vegas. Spots are available. Check them all out. Sign up. Get in with us. Time playing fantasy football in 22, and check out all of our lives on our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button and join us for all streams and interviews that we do on. Thank you again for joining us. Good night.